Hello and welcome back to a new season of SportsZone. I'm Camden Crystal, joined here today with Lucas Werner. A little short staff today, but we're still going to start out strong. And let's start with our NFL segment, going for two. All right, Lucas, we're going to talk about today who's hot, who's not, and the renaissance of backup quarterbacks that are happening in the league right now.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's just start. Which team do you see has had the best start so far this season? We don't have to go by record necessarily. Who's just looking the best to you?
Yeah, so there's two teams that really stick out to me this year. I think the first one that a lot of people would expect to be terrible this year, the San Francisco 49ers right now are undefeated. And I know it's early in the season, but that's definitely a feat that's to be proud of. I know last year they were a little bit, unorganized after the injury to Jimmy G. Shout out Eastern Illinois Panthers. Let's go. But once Jimmy G went down, it kind of looked downhill for them. But this year they're starting off really strong. And then another team that I found really interesting this year, and they're actually doing really well, Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts. Even though Andrew Luck, decided to have that young retirement, pulled the Calvin
People saying it
Johnson.
derailed the season.
Exactly, pulled a Barry Sanders. But the Colts, they backed up Jacoby Brissett. They gave him that 2-year contract extension, and they put a lot of trust in him and said, we're going to give you the keys this year, and we trust you to, at least keep us in playoff contention. And right now, they just came off a win against the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense looked really dominant.
Oh, yeah.
They have that young linebacking core that's just unstoppable. And then up front, their offensive line. Offensive linemen don't get enough talk, but Quentin Nelson. The new Jeff Saturday, truly Indianapolis has a thing for big boys down the middle. So definitely two teams to keep an eye on coming up here.
No, yeah, definitely to your point about the 49ers, it's obviously not comparable because the Browns hype has been ridiculous going into this season, and we'll talk about them probably a little bit later. But the 49ers last year, people were saying after, Jimmy G came back for a couple games at the end of the 2017 season, looking like the next Tom Brady is what people were saying about him. He's slinging TD passes. Next season, not the same guy first couple games, and he goes down, season-ending injury. And so people were really hyping him to, he's going to be, the new face of the 49ers franchise. You have the new coach coming in. You have this, young core being built up through the draft. People, if I remember correctly, people were saying the 49ers last season were going to be what they're looking like this season with a more healthy roster.
Yeah, no, they are looking nice, but they are in a tough division. You have to remember the Rams coming off a Super Bowl, and right now Russell Wilson's looking like an MVP with the Seattle Seahawks, their team there. They're going to have a long road, but it wasn't too long ago where the Patriots had Tom Brady, Jacoby Brissett, and Jimmy Garoppolo in the same quarterback room, and now look at where they all are now.
No, yeah, people are showing the comparisons.
Undefeated,
only two undefeated teams in the NFL right now happen to both be either Patriots or former Patriots.
And guess what? Neither teams have running games, so.
Well, don't take away credit from Matt Breida.
Matt Breida?
Breida, yeah, he was a beast. He was the one who turned
He's all right.
I mean,
all right. Marlon Mack just halfback draw every play.
If you watch that Browns game, that 80-yard run by Matt Breida seemed to change the course of the game.
And all those interceptions.
That also helped.
He might be feeling dangerous, but what's feeling dangerous is the area coach he's throwing into. He's throwing missiles.
All right, let's not get too off course now. Let's go into this is a good transition to the knots. So I'm going to choose two teams I think have been underperforming this year. Go ahead. First one, I'm going to have to, obvious choice is, the Cleveland Browns. People were saying, this is going to be playoff. People were making Super Bowl predictions before even the preseason started because, you got Baker, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb. Then they pick up Kareem Hunt. Even though I believe he's just coming back from suspension in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Denzel Ward.
Ward. They have people on both sides of the ball.
Schobert, middle linebacker.
Okay. But people forget the cost they had to take for OBJ is they had to trade away, one of their premier offensive linemen to the Giants, who's been performing for them. You've seen him with Daniel Jones.
Absolutely.
Daniel Jones seems, helping because he's more mobile than Eli Manning, but that's, most turtles have more mobile than Eli Manning.
Exactly.
But you're seeing the impact that an offensive line can have, and Baker seems to just be, he's more and more going outside the pocket to make passes, and while people say he's more comfortable playing that way, if you're consistently being forced out of the pocket, that helps to explain a lot of these errant throws. Most of his interceptions are ugly. They're passes that you can clearly see he's trying to force, and then also just they look just out of sheer desperation because he's trying to get something going. He knows he has the receiving core to go out and get him, but if he can't get the ball near him, he doesn't have time to get in the right spot. There's only so much, OBJ or Jarvis Landry can do. They can have amazing catches like, OBJ had against the Jets, but, you can't expect those every game.
Well, absolutely. I mean, receivers can help you so much, but I think the biggest issue right now, people forget that 2 years ago the Browns didn't win a game. And then they spent.
This is the quickest rebuild of the century.
I'm so sorry. Is Theo Epstein in charge of the Browns front office? I don't think so.
I mean, the Cubs didn't make the playoffs, so maybe the Giants.
Different story. Regardless, I just don't see the Browns right now really being that team. Right now, I believe that they're still the second best team in the AFC North. Right now, I think the Ravens are better than them.
But that's more a consequence of the division, I would say, than necessarily their play.
Well,
because while they've shown flashes like they did against the Ravens where they could get the run game going, and then they could help kind of like filter through that, not ask too much of Baker and the defense because, a run game really helps you control time of possession, which is really important for this team because you see the big plays they gave up when, they're forcing their defense out on the field for extended periods of time. But moving on, other team. You may agree or disagree with this. I'm going to say the Rams have been a huge underperformance. You can't say necessarily if it's because a Super Bowl hangover, being just completely shut down offensively in that game. But I think from what I've been reading about it, I think the biggest issue is while they're trying to build that veteran presence on the team, their defense is old. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? Their defense may be old, but they have Aaron Donald. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Donald
can't intercept passes down the field.
Well, they have. I know they're old.
If they're burning them on the passing game, how much can Aaron Donald do? They're triple teaming him.
Eric Weddle has performed. Aaron Donald, people say underperforming, he's being triple teamed. I think right now the biggest issue they have right now is their linebacking core. People say you can win championship by having a strong linebacking core, and you can obviously see that. You look back to your Seattle Seahawks in 2013, one
the good old days.
The second best defense after the '85 Bears. Shout out Chicago.
Okay.
Great.
What about this Bears defense?
This Bears defense is real nice as well. Regardless,
just not winning games.
Just not winning games.
With Chase Daniels.
Chase Daniels won't win a game either. But still, when you look at on the linebacking core, it's definitely it's kind of hard to build a championship caliber defense without having solid linebackers. But I have to ask you now. You mentioned this earlier. The rise of the backup quarterback this year, either producing or unproducing. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's been a long time coming because, we've noticed people like the most common problem most fan bases from ailing teams have with their team is the aging quarterback. We saw this with Joe Flacco. Broncos, you see what's happening with them trying to, stick with John Elway's classic strategy of the
quarterback a year.
Yeah, the tall, older quarterback.
The trial
betting on the defense that can't get a sack. But regardless, I think we're seeing finally the transition a lot of fan bases have been waiting for the teams finally moving on from subpar quarterbacks, betting more on the defense or the running game. And whether it be, conditions or not, I think it is benefiting a lot of these teams to have a fresh face in there. And similar to what the Browns kind of had last year once they put in Baker, you're kind of seeing the team rally around these younger guys, these Daniel Joneses, Gardner Minshew. And I feel like you're getting more out of these teams as a result of, other teams who have to face these guys not having as much film on them, giving them more of that kind of random factor before they get figured out. And these teams' defenses are rallying around being able to be more open with their offense.
Well, I think the reason that we see so many backup quarterbacks right now is actually a lot deeper rooted than people expect. I mean, when you look at quarterbacks like Tom Brady going into their 40s, that makes other teams, have confidence in their older quarterbacks. They're confident that if they give them a large guaranteed contract, they'll be able to produce for the majority of that contract. Ben Roethlisberger, Manning, Breeze, Brady, all these older quarterbacks are getting long-term guaranteed contracts well into their mid to late 30s, and that's making teams, they have to play them. Even if they're not playing at the highest level. I mean, Breeze is still playing at the highest level.
That's a great point.
But you also look at teams like Green Bay Packers. You don't have a lot of money coming in. They made $300,000 last year because they're paying Aaron Rodgers so much that when they get injured, that put these new quarterbacks in, not really investing money in a backup quarterback. Now backup quarterbacks are just late round draft picks because they don't have any more money to invest in that. So that's definitely another thing that you see. If you look back in the early 2000s, you don't see any quarterbacks over 35.
Yeah.
Now you look at the average age of a quarterback in the NFL, it's well over 30 because you have these older quarterbacks.
No, yeah. I feel like you touched on it. It's a good point. I think back in the day, it was easier to let go of a franchise quarterback because, there was the 35 line or whatever teams wanted to draw it, where they thought, okay, at that point, you're not going to be useful to the team anymore. Everyone has accepted that. Either going to get injured with your contract, even with the veteran minimum, or you're just not going to be able to do what you could do before. And so everyone has agreed that's when you retire. And whether some people it's when they hit that line, some people it's when they have, that catastrophic injury like Alex Smith might have to deal with coming whenever he finally heals. But no, yeah, I think what Tom Brady did and what Drew Brees and even Russell Wilson has actually mentioned, he's thinking he wants to play until his 40s, is that due to health, medicine, just the way football's changed to protecting the quarterback more players are feeling that they can play this deep into their own lives. And so fans are trying to adjust to that now where they're like, well, you can't just get rid of our franchise quarterback. Tom Brady's playing till he's 60. They should be able to play till then too. They're also good quarterbacks. But the issue is not everybody can be Tom Brady, Drew Brees, these guys who have somehow miraculously been able to keep their production up despite their age.
They found the fountain.
They found the secret sauce. I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's all we want to talk about this week.
A
bit of a short cast today, but this is it for Going for Two. See you in the next segment of SportsZone. Hello and welcome back to SportsZone. I'm once again Camden, joined here with Lucas for our MLB baseball segment, getting to third. And we're in the midst of the postseason right now, wrapping up the divisional rounds. Most teams forcing a Game 5 except for the Yankees because the Twins decided not to show up to that series, I guess. But let's start there, actually, Lucas. What did you see in the Yankees-Twins sweep that seemed so surprising?
Yeah, and the most surprising aspect of it is those teams were so equally matched on the hitting side, the batting side.
No, yeah, their offensive stats were almost identical, but in that series, one side clearly didn't get the memo.
Yeah, and the biggest reason for that was the pitching. You look at a team like the Yankees, they have pitching, maybe at the best, probably I would say the weakest pitching staff in the playoffs right now, outside of the Twins.
Yeah.
But you can see that in these other series, like with the Dodgers and with the Nationals, their elite pitching staff is keeping them in games. That's why they're all low scoring games. And you look at the Yankees and the Twins, and the Twins just couldn't pitch to save their lives. And then bad offense turns bad defense and vice versa. So.
No, yeah, something that I think is important to look at, because a lot of people were saying, oh, the Yankees, they're gonna lose the Twins, they're not gonna make it far in the playoffs because their starting pitching is either injured, suspended, or just not the same caliber, or coming back from injury in the case of Luis Severino. But what's important to remember is you're seeing it with these teams, most of their starters are playing more like bullpen pitchers than starters in these series. So with the Yankees, you see is they have one of the best bullpens in baseball, arguably the best. And in postseason games, when you're not pitching your starter very deep, like the game they clinched the sweep on, Luis Severino pitched 4 innings.
Yeah.
So if the Yankees have that level of bullpen, and especially with like the starter being the opener being more and more of an integration into like a team's approach going into games. You're seeing that more in the postseason too, and the Yankees are utilizing it really effectively because they're betting more on their arms that they were saving during the season by not pitching them as many innings in relief because they let their starters go through. But now that they're here, they can rely on those rested bullpen arms to pitch a majority of the innings.
Absolutely, and also going back to the whole statement I made earlier about the Yankees not having starting pitching, their starting pitching is just not good enough to go deep into games. Mm-hmm. When you look at Max Scherzer or Steven Strasburg, Garrett Cole with 15 strikeouts in a playoff game.
I think it's tied for third most all time.
Third most all time. If you have pitchers that can go deep innings and produce at high volume like we see there, then you have to play them. Mm-hmm. You look at the Astros right now. Wade Miley isn't even playing in the postseason. He's coming out of the bullpen because pitchers like Greinke, Cole, and Verlander are all top 10 in Cy Young.
But segueing into the Astros-Rays series, what we saw yesterday in game 4 was that they pitched Verlander on short rest. He claims that it didn't play a factor into the game. I felt ready to pitch, but the question is because the Rays in response they opened with Diego Castillo, who's arguably their closer / strong bullpen arm. So the Rays were able to beat them in that game with seemingly, a bullpen approach, whereas the Astros seemed to approach it with, they kept Verlander in until the fifth, I believe, when he gave up 4 runs, and by that was enough to win the game. So it kind of shows that, like, even if you're an ace pitcher, if the bullpen's not there and you want to rely on them in those games, if they're on short rest, it can affect their performance to the point where it decides the game.
Verlander's one of those handful of pitchers that whatever he wants, you give it to him. Mm-hmm. He's proven that over a long career.
That's fair. His performance in his first start gave reason to believe that he could replicate that performance.
If I'm Hinch, I give him
anything he wants.
Yeah, him and Cole can do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. So and when you look at a team like the Rays, they were so controversial last year with this whole opener approach, and now you see them, back-to-back 90-win seasons, and they're producing well, and you have unheard of pitchers like Glasnow just coming out of nowhere.
Nick Anderson.
Yeah, Nick Anderson, and then you have, kind of older, washed-up pitchers like Charlie Morton just kind of walk into this role, and then they're looking elite. And it just makes you think that last year, Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole, Verlander and Keuchel were all on the pitching rotation.
No, yeah, I think that just kind of goes to show, people like teams sometimes forget the back end of their starting rotation. Like they let Morton go in free agency, I believe.
But you look at
but you see how but you see how effective he's been in the playoffs. And Charlie Morton, like while he was later on the rotation on that team, he has something crazy. He has like the highest spin rate, which means he has the most break on his pitches, most just like curve on the ball. And you're seeing that, like, hitters are dumbfounded whenever he throws a breaking ball or a two-seam.
He looks 45.
Exactly. That can play a factor. 45. That can play a factor. But moving on, let's go into the Nationals-Dodgers series. Did you see it going this deep?
You know what? I actually really did not. When I saw the Dodgers, in this wild card game, I definitely thought that, they didn't really have that upper hand against the Brewers. I thought the Brewers would be able to win a one-game
You mean the
series.
Nationals?
The Nationals play the Brewers.
Yeah, Nationals play the Brewers. You said Dodgers.
Apologize, I meant to say Nationals. No, but I thought the Brewers could win a one game against. They have enough bats. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the Nationals, it's the pitching, and then Juan Soto. Like Juan Soto's been unbelievable.
Well, don't forget Anthony Rendon.
Anthony Rendon.
He's also been huge.
Anthony Rendon.
And Ryan Zimmerman has had a bit of resurgence in this series.
Yeah.
He's definitely
recently given the nickname Mr. National. Yeah, which is Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks.
I think that's just what you get for being a career player at this point, since there's so much movement.
Well, I didn't know this, but he's the only player to have been on the Nationals since they came to DC, like through.
Wow, from the beginning.
Since 2005.
But yeah, he's definitely had a resurgence. He had a rough end to the regular season, more so coming off the bench. But you've seen him like starting at first base at some points in the series.
We'll see how if the Nationals are potentially taking Game 5. We'll see how they move along, in the NLCS.
No, the only difficulty with them is, the Dodgers are more so relying on, their, like they've kept more of a separation between their starters and their bullpen, just because I think they're working off of, the strength of their lineup. They're trying to save, those starters from coming out of the bullpen
they've been
later.
Doing that for the last
they're thinking, they're thinking more World Series or bust, I think, at that point in their roster. But you're seeing the only thing I'd worry about.
Reliever. They have Kenley Jansen.
That's true. They have no bullpen.
They have no bullpen.
But one thing you'll have to see is because they're wearing out Scherzer, Corbin, and Strasburg in this series.
Corbin was
so even if they go
Corbin was thrown bad at practice.
But even if they go further, you have to think about it. They keep using these guys to start every other game and also be available in the bullpen every other game that they're not starting. You're going to think, like, Scherzer just came off of injury before the playoffs. Like, you have to be thinking about...
That is true, but...
Are they going for this year or bust with these 3 arms they're paying, a combined however millions of dollars for?
At the end of the day, I am a homer. In 2016, the Cubs, they were running Lester out of the bullpen, and they won a World Series. So it can be done, and I'm optimistic that, you see the Nationals, hometown, that they move on here.
All right, let's finish off with the Cardinals-Braves series, which also
Braves
is going to 5. What'd you call?
Braves in 5.
What, you have something to base that on? Because these
Braves
games have been very back and forth. They're coming they've been very
walk-offs and
I know it's been they seem fairly evenly matched, which is strange because a lot of people going in were putting the Braves at the advantage, but the Cardinals had that late surge in the season. So do you think that's playing more of a role? They're winning late,
so
and then coming into it where the Braves have been sputtering a bit.
St. Louis, you're welcome. The Cubs choked and gave you a playoff appearance. But with that being said, the Cardinals have a very, very strong lineup. Their pitching can be improved a little bit. They have that ace.
Jack Flaherty.
I can't Flaherty.
Flaherty.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to pronounce it, but his second half was Cy Young like, and I hate to say that, but it was true.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, no, you see them, and then you see the baby Braves right now in Atlanta. They're doing some good things. So I really think whoever comes out of this series doesn't make the World Series. I think that both the Nationals and the Dodgers are just a better pitching rotation than these other two teams. But we'll see. I mean, the Braves have young guys like Mike Soroka came out of nowhere in his rookie year.
And he's probably gonna be Rookie of the Year. Potential Cy Young candidate.
Pete Alonso is winning rookie.
Yeah, pitchers usually get the second.
Yeah.
Fiddle on
But
that.
we love you here, Mike Soroka. We love you over here.
Yeah, if you're listening.
Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely will be interesting to see. Maybe we'll see a resurgence. Whoever wins this series, maybe it's just a simple fact they were evenly matched. They matched with each other in a certain way where it led to them, a lot of close
Everyone's
games.
gonna be tired for the NLCS.
No, yeah, except for the Yankees.
Except for the Yankees, they're in ALCS though.
But all right, we'll finish this segment here. That's getting to third. See you in the next segment on SportsZone.
Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm Lucas, and here we're having our favorite section, Thumbles, where we give thumbs up and thumbs down to our favorite thing in sports, school, and media in general. So I'm going to give a huge thumbs up to Sports Zone coming back. I know it's October. We started a little late, but I'm really happy to be back here. Ton of fun last year. With that being said, a thumbs up to Camden Crystal, our new producer. He's taking over for the legend who is Ryan Siegel. Hope you're doing well, Ryan. Thank you for your service, and we wish you the best with USA Hockey. With that being said, another thumbs up to Aaron and Daniel Roth and all the guys from last year who, wherever you guys are right now, I wish you the best of luck as well. I'm going to start off with more sports things. I'm going to give a big thumbs up to the NBA right around the corner, and we want to see you guys come back. But I'm going to give a thumbs down to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't it's like the Cleveland Browns. You're talking Super Bowl, you're talking NBA champs when you didn't even make the playoffs last year. I think maybe stay a little bit more humble. You're both great players and you're great leaders both in and around the NBA community. I really think that you guys should just be a little more humble. Second best team in LA because the Clippers are looking dangerous. Thumbs up to the Clippers. I'm going to give another thumbs up to the NFL. I know it's fall, so we're back with a lot of sports. But I'm glad to see the NFL back in there. Thumbs down to the Chicago Bears fan base. And a thumbs up to Mitch Trubisky. Although Mitch Trubisky started the season incredibly rough, I do wish him the best of luck. People always think, he's kind of overrated. He's not a really good quarterback, bad accuracy. But then again, he was a Pro Bowler last year. An alternate who's in the Pro Bowl still has the Pro Bowl on their record. So I think he's a lot more underrated than people think he is. And he took us to the playoffs last year, and I'm hoping when he comes back from injury. Another thumbs up to the backup quarterback play this year in the NFL. You look at people like Gardner Minshew, who has this cult following, just for being wacky dude. But he's a good guy. He's playing well. Thumbs down to Nick Foles. I don't know why the Jags paid him all that money. I don't know why. They should have just drafted, or they should have waited, because next year Tua's coming up, and I think he's gonna be a problem. And then I'm just give one final thumbs up here, just to the school year. It's senior year for me and Cam, and we're looking forward to having a good year at Sports Center. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to the newfound producer and, producer Excelsior, Camden Crystal. So come in here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with a thumbs down for Lucas calling it Sports Center. That's copyrighted. We can't use that. It's Sports Zone. But yeah, we'll give a thumbs up. It's nice to be back. As we've heard, Ryan has passed on what would we call it? What would it be?
Torch.
Pass the torch on to me, and so I'll try to do my best to keep this going. Shout out to Lucas for coming today. Big thumbs up to you. It's nice to be able to get the first shoot out there. Hopefully we'll be able to try to do it more weekly going forward, seeing who else we can get in here to cover different segments. But I'll go into sports. Big thumbs up to the Seahawks. Nobody probably saw them coming this season. Russell Wilson seems to have stepped up another level. Chris Carson has been really consistent in the run game, giving Wilson the time to get downfield. To people like Tyler Lockett, who's been outstanding. People don't often talk about Seahawks receivers, and so it's nice to see some of them shine. thumbs up to the weather too. We're finally getting to the point where it's transitioning into actual fall now. It's not just like global warming summer still. And thumbs up to Terry. If you look it up, Terry Stott's first preseason outfit. He was styling, and he's the coach for the Trailblazers. How do you not know him? It was. All right, that's all my thumbs, and in honor of Ryan, we will say, "For you, Jake Elmsley." Is that his name?
I think it's Jake Elmsley.
Yeah, Jake Elmsley sucks. If we can't use the swear, we'll edit it out. But yeah, this is the first shoot for SportsZone. We'll see you next episode.